Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. What's up, y'all? We in the his house again. Sadly, I am going to have on delay any stuff that's would have happened with Clixathon just because it's a little late when I'm recording this, and I don't think it would be quite polite for me to call George at this hour or Alex, even though I probably could get Alex. He's a late night person, but you try to be respectful to people. You usually try not to call after 10. That's just a general civil rule. And for young men and young ladies, it's usually a good idea not to do that. And when I say young men, young ladies, I mean those that are still under their parents' roof and have never had a job or went to college yet, and they're probably in high school or less. And if I didn't say that last line, that would probably describe one too many people. Anyway, you might be saying, Dark Logos, if we're not going to be talking about the implications of what is it of Clixathon, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about a couple of things. It's going to be a little bit directed, a little bit rant, a little bit hodgepodge, free flow thought, but it's going to be really good. And we're going to talk about team building, and I know to an extent we haven't really talked about that in a while, but we're going to deal with it in a philosophical nature. And these are some more questions to ask yourself and the implication of these questions. So take that as you will. And if I come up with something interesting along the way, I will. And I might even tell you about a couple of my tournaments that I have done since I've last talked about tournaments. So how about that? All right. Pretty much, this came to me while I was at work with, so much work to do. And what came to me is questions that I usually ask myself, well, I did ask myself when I was getting in those very early serious developmental stages of HeroClick team building. Okay. And these are questions that I always had because I always doubted my team. And even right now, I have some anxieties, but experience helps you overcome a lot of your anxieties. But in my anxieties, I would always ask myself some of the following questions. And one question I would always ask myself is, can I beat this? Or and I would come up with something imaginative, and then it was like, well, can I beat this? And I would come up with something else, and then can I beat this? And what ended up happening over time, I would create these imaginative, grand dreams and visions of what my opponent was going to do to the level of complications in which they were going to complete and absolutely shut me down, and it just didn't happen. So the questions are, and I want you to write these down, and then we're going to address each one is, what is the best or easy to be perceived element that's the best of this format? What's the best element that's easy to be perceived? Okay. The second one is, do I want an easy win? Third one, can I force my opponent to have little to no choices in their outcome? Next one, am I coming from a position of loss or strength? Next question, how much does terrain matter? The following question is, what limitation in the format stops commonly seen elements? Okay. The last few questions, these are some that should be a little bit more foundational that we over times overlook, and I sort of separate the questions I stated first are the mountain, and then what I'm about to talk about is the questions I'm giving up now are the rocks. Do I have enough mobility? Do I have enough stat modification? Is the mechanic I'm focusing on have any common meta weakness? Is a theme team mechanic needed for this game? Can I kill a Colossal in the time given? If an effect or peace is neutralized, can I keep going like nothing happened? Lots of questions, lots of questions, but we will tackle each question, okay? So strap in, get ready. We're going to look at the mountains and the rocks today on Starting Over Podcast. All right, so let's sort of start at the middle, or I'm just kidding. Let's start at the beginning and really try to understand why are we asking ourselves these questions. It's a mountain that we want to climb to hit our peak potential of team building. And on the top of that mountain, the only thing that we get is perspective. And then we have to, move on. Again, we never arrive at being the best. We never arrive at something that definitively makes us say, yay, there's no one that's going to ever beat us ever again in heroclix. And as long as sets come out, we still have learning experiences. So let's go through these questions one at a time. What is the best or the easiest to be perceived element in the format? So sort of try to clarify that question. What do we see within that format as the one character, the one figure that automatically everyone's going to gravitate to? Okay, and when you answer that, then you can start thinking of counters. Okay, and that's the key thing. A lot of good team building starts with, everyone's doing this, I'm just going to ruin their day. And so when you see, let's say you have 1,000 points and 6 characters, then you're guaranteed to see colossals. Well, you probably want to build some elements that's going to kill colossals, and then what type of colossal gives other colossals the most amount of trouble? Okay, there you go. You can have, or you could say, what colossal at 600 points is really, really broken if I give him 4 perplexes? Things like that help you get scope of what's obvious. And when you look at what's obvious, you actually do need a Captain Obvious moment. You need to say to yourself, this is what's going to happen. And a lot of times we just don't say that to ourselves. This is going to happen. Okay? The next question, do I want an easy win? I had the experience this weekend with one of the games that I saw where a guy, Megalotus Man, played, what was it? Deadpool. Oh no, Cable and Deadpool. And Galactus. And yeah, Cable, Deadpool, and Galactus. And so he made Cable his, I think it's his Herald of Galactus or Deadpool, I forgot which one. And then merged them into Cable Deadpool. Then Cable Deadpool was the Herald of Galactus. I didn't get to play him in the tournament. He went undefeated. I went undefeated as well, but I was against different opponents. And in the end, I asked him, okay, so why did you come up with your team? And it's just like, well, I wanted it to be an easy team. And I really want you to understand what I mean by, easy win. An easy win can be, I beat them so bad, because they suck, or I beat them with a very simple team, and I don't have to think that much. It's easy. It's an easy win. I just do this, this, and this, and I repeat A, B, and C, and when I'm done with C, I go back to A. Okay, or you could just do A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. I really don't like just A teams where you just have one note. It doesn't flow right, because if someone disrupts your A, you have no off note. You don't have any other options. The next thing is, can I force my opponent to have little to no choices in their outcome? One of my favorite options for this is Nightmare. Nightmare says, hey, you know what? I have a team, and I have this map that I want to play. If you don't let me get my map through whatever means, I'm going to punish you. So you have a choice. You can fight me on my map, or you have -1 attack. And this weekend I learned that some people were just like, well, I'll take that -1 attack. because they realized that it was better for them to have that -1 attack than their choice limited. And in limiting their choice, I would create a situation that would be very, very, very detrimental to them. Okay, so can I, if I have a whole bunch of barrier, can I force my opponent to pretty much say that they don't have a choice? They can only attack the target that I want. If my whole team is stealth and I have Beta Ray Bill, can I force a close combat situation? You have these outcomes that you can determine with your team just by their design by saying, guess what, homie, you're sort of screwed. You can't get out of X, Y, and Z, and it's inevitable. From my design, there is nothing that you can do on your end to stop me directly. Okay, and in some scenarios, in some formats, there are teams like that, and you have to accept that. You have to either accept that you are the person creating them, or you're on the receiving end of them. And you can say, yes, you can enter in a situation where they don't exist. But those sort of interactions where the complete lockout teams don't exist only happen in venues where we're really not pressing the meta. Okay. The next thing is the next question that we're coming at is am I coming from a position of loss or strength? When you look at your team, you can say obviously what your loss is. And if you're building around a loss, this is going to happen with this character. I know I have to patch that. Or this element of my character or my team is so awesome that I'm building around that. So you're either trying to cover up a hole or you're trying to push your round peg through the round hole. You're either trying to put duct tape on the hole, like no, ignore the hole, or you're taking a hammer to that round peg and it's like screw that, I'm putting it in. Okay, so you have to ask yourself that question: am I covering up a weakness or am I playing from a strength? And from there, it's going to determine how you play. Because if you're coming from a position of a loss and that loss mentality is in the forefront of your mind, you're going to be very cautious. If you're coming from a strength position, you're going to be very aggressive. And you can tell from an opponent's mindset many times if they feel that they're playing from a position of weakness or a position of loss. Or a position of loss or a position of strength. Next up, how much does terrain matter? How much terrain matters is essential because there are teams that will say, I don't care what map you're on, I can do what I want to do. There are other teams that say, I can operate on any map, but this map in particular, I'm awesome. And you have teams that's like, well, I work really well on X, Y, and Z, K, R, and T really ruin my day. So you need to be mindful about that. And you also need to be mindful about some of the cues of the people around you and in your map selection diversity. Okay? Next up is what limitation in the format stops commonly seen elements? If you see for every 300-point game, you see a guy running two 150-point Supermans, the question comes in, what stops him from playing 250-point Supermans in a 800-point game? What stops him from just packing in more Supermans? Okay, if nothing stops him, if that's all he's going to do is just pack in more Supermans, then fine, expect that. Or if you expect him he's going to have 250-point Supermans plus an additional TKer and a ranged attacker and an eradicator, other elements to tie in there, then we can come back and say, oh, all right, I understand why you did that. But we really need to say when we look at the format, is there anything that's going to really going to limit him from doing what he was doing in the past? Okay, or more so, if you look out in the meta and you're like, man, I know Pat. Pat loves making these cool theme teams. I know he's going to pull out something quirky. And he was talking about something like that the last time I saw him. Man, I don't think this format will limit him from doing that. So you have to keep those things in mind. Okay, so when we ask these questions, when we look at our mountain, we answer all these questions, then we're able to get a scope. We climb up all these questions, we get a scope. Okay, I see the landscape for what it is. So we have a cipher for our format, for our 300-point game, no relics, no resource dials, to our 1,000-point games, relics, resource dials, feats, to a 100-point game, basic mechanics. We can look at every sort of different format and then sort of break it down so that we can understand where do we need to start in team building. So now we're looking at the rocks. The rocks questions are a lot more concrete versus the general touchy-feely, put my finger in the air to see where the wind's blowing type questions. Okay, so do I have enough mobility? Are you going to just say, forget this, I'm staying in my starting area, you better come to me? Or are you providing some level of offense? Do you only have one person with running shot? And if you would know how I feel on that, I think that's a bad idea. That's a really, really, really bad idea. Okay. Next up is, do I have enough stat modification? In this day and age, you need stat modification. You got to overcome +2 stats with the average defense of 18, which means you need to hit a 20. And really, you need to hit a 21. Can you hit a 21? If you cannot hit a 21, then you need to start over. And I never thought that would be a starting point in the game. I thought, 19, 20. 20 would be the common max, but really we're actually realistically having to say, can you hit a 21? And that hurts. And so do you have enough PD, Hydra, all my characters that are within my range have +1 attack when attacking such and such. I get +1 attack, +1 damage for killing monsters, mysticals, this, that, and the other. In the format that you're dealing with, do you have enough stat modification? Because you might have abilities that go off as like, oh, look, stat modification, because I know that these things that are normally situational for these characters would be common. Okay? All right, next up is the mechanic that I'm focusing on have any common meta weaknesses? And so when we look at our format, there is always the guy, and it may be you, the listener, that says, I don't care how fun the scenario is, I'm going to just bring the most common broken stuff. That's number one in the meta. And some days it's fine, but if the judge makes it try to really put in the effort, like fun, play your crazy teams. And that guy's like, my crazy teams is a monster team with 3 Momen and 2 Fast Forces Bizarros. Then yeah, that's not crazy fun team. That's pretty brutal. Okay, so if it's a big prize on the line and the judge is trying to, hedge bets, or if he's like, go cutthroat, what common meta elements are going to just kick you just straight in the mouth? And write that down. And then ask yourself, is it a legitimate fear? Okay? Next question is a theme team mechanic needed for this game? And you can go listen to some older podcasts when I talk about theme team. And really most of that advice hasn't changed. And the best thing that I can say to you is when it comes to theme team, you need to say, do I need map and do I need theme team prob? Do I need map with my team and do I need theme team prob? Those are the 2 most key things that you have to ask yourself when running with a theme team. And in some scenarios, if you're like, screw it, Galactus is coming, I don't care what I have to do. I want that prize. I'm putting you on the Bizarre World map. If Galactus or a huge multi-blaze figure that's not a team dial is your only weakness, then yeah, you need to be packing a theme team and you need to be packing that map. Okay? And as I already sort of started into, can I kill a Colossal in the time given? There are some teams that are very offensive, but they are two attacker offensives, which they're set up to 1-2 punch and kill a standard figure in a turn. And they're also designed so that they really don't leave their top dial, and if they get hit a little bit, they can go back to their healer. I'm sorry, if I'm playing Master Mode and I see that situation going on, first thing I'm sniping is your healer. After I kill your healer, I'm going to try to tag your one of your damage dealers, and then I'm going to have my healer kick into effect. Okay, so those are things for us to think about, because there are a lot of teams that are unable to deal 20 clicks of damage within a 45-minute period of time. If you are a slow thinker, and I have been like that, where you are overcumbered with all the thoughts of what can happen in your game, and that the thought of Starro, Galactus, Zeron the Tester, Zippity Doo-Dah Man is bombarding your head, then you might want to just say, all right, 5 guys, no matter what, they can crack a Colossal. Okay? The last question we have here is, if an effect or piece is neutralized, can I keep going like nothing happened? And this is where I ended up as a player. I ended up saying to myself that there are a lot of times that I was playing very skilled people that were able to just alpha strike down my team, and I would lose very solid key pieces very early. And so I started after building teams that pieces could interchange, and I could say, well, okay, I had a misplace. Folly, I'm down, but I'm not out. Tentpole teams are very, 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 very hard to have this philosophy on, unless your support is just that good. I really do mean that good. Like, you got a bunch of, your Perplex is another solid attacker. So you're looking at your more balanced teams, like if you play like a full-out X-Men team or Teen Titans, or I don't want to say Justice League, because Justice League is pretty beefy as it is. Let's say like a Society team or Rogues. Can you still do what you need to do? Can you still win? If they take out your Icicle Man and you lost Barrier, can you still play without Barrier? And so this lets you really pick apart your team, and like, oh my gosh, this team is crap, because if they just push and kill this, I have no offense whatsoever. There you go. So, starting point, just to give you some scope on what to look at, okay? And so as we look at these questions, I really want you to think to yourself, do these questions help my current team building, or any of these questions bring up elements that I haven't thought about before seriously? And so what I want you to take off from all that is that now we have this completion of team building philosophy, or at least a good sound foundation for us to look at and have scope. Where we look at next is the tough part. How do I grow? And how do I grow is a very, very, very frustrating thing, because you will find out that even the veteran players struggle with this. There is no one that's played 4 or 5 plus years that, if they're really honest, are going to tell you, yeah, I grow real easily when it comes to this game. I am as flexible as a bamboo shoot. It really doesn't happen. And and there's a couple of reasons why that happens, and I'll touch on some quickly and then go into how we grow. But one, rules changes, keeping up with rules changes. That is one of the biggest things that stops people from growing, because they have a faulty thing in their head about how the rules are. I am constantly fighting with my mind, reminding myself that stealth works differently than it did before. Okay, and that I am not invisible on my turn. Okay, and my opponents can prob me. All right, so that in and of itself is something that I need to keep in the forefront of my head. But I keep thinking, oh, there's stealth, I can't prob them, and that is can hinder gameplay and has hindered some of my games. Another thing that comes in that hinders growth is I've been doing this for such a long time and it's been winning. WizKids had to come and mess it up. WizKid's job isn't to guarantee that you keep winning with Superman. It's not WizKid's job that you continue winning with Brother Voodoo or Cop Cars or Hypersonic Speed or Pulse Wave or whatever else. Okay, it's up to you as the player to determine how are you going to achieve victory. Plain and simple. And you can listen to this podcast and you're like, well, Dark Logos, you tell us that all those things are good. Yeah, they are good in the context of when I told you, and with the other options that are available. But for you to assume that those are going to be perpetually good is foolish. It just is. And I hate to put it that way. But you have to smash yourself out of that mindset that this thing is good, it's going to forever be good. The last thing that I really want to talk about, and I had to deal with this in my League of Legends playing, and even with some of my conversations on the game, is God complexes. A lot of people, successful people, have God complexes. And I do the best I can possible not to have a God complex. And the God complex is this: I do well, I am right, therefore I can never be wrong. Okay? And those God complexes appear on HC Realms a lot in various forms. Definitely when you start looking at the casual versus meta player debate. There's a whole lot of God complex and emotional damage and other issues stacked on top of that. But what will happen is that we'll go through these experiences and we'll be playing for a long time, and we're saying like, I already know that this is going to be trash. I already know that this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. I already know that this is going to be the number one thing, and it's going to always stop this. And if we keep up those mindsets, we really stop ourselves from growing. The last time I checked, none of us created anything out of nothing, nor were omnipresent throughout space and time. Just checking. I still have flesh and bone. All right, so that means that we are limited. That means that our scope is limited. That means that our experience is limited. That means our understanding is limited. There are going to be things that escape us. I talk to all sorts of people, and they're like, man, I didn't think about that. And I'll receive the same thing back of, oh, man, I didn't think about that. I talk to lots of various different players frequently to say, hey, what's your meta doing? And they'll list out something that I never thought of, and I'm like, man, that's awesome. And sometimes I go and unleash it on my local play group. So those are the things that hinder us from growth. So let's start looking at growth. What does growth mean? Growth means that it's like you go to the Sears hardware department and you buy a new tool every other week. Now you might not be the best with that tool, but your goal is to continually get tools and use tools. Now you have to have tools and apply them to projects, and you have to use them, and you have to find different things to solve with them. But your main goal is to pick up tools. And then when you approach problems, you fiddle around with your tools. Now some of it on it's obvious. I cannot use a saw to fix a water leak. Just can't. Okay, but I can use a wrench to fix a water leak. All right, but if I don't know what the tools really do, it may take me a while to realize that I need a wrench to fix the water leak. I might pick up a hammer. I might use various tools in very unorthodox ways and be able to gather new information from that. But I still am using that tool. But I might not solve my problem. And I hope I'm making this clear. So by having tools, getting more and more tools, you're able to say, I'm able to solve more and more problems. Or at least if I can't solve those problems, I'm able to gather more and more information that'll help me refine it down and say, aha, that's the tool I need. For example, I played a guy one time. I ended up using pulse wave on him and just devastated his team. He came back the next time and he used a character with pulse wave. Well, it didn't have the attack value, didn't have the damage value, but it had pulse wave. And so we played, and he's like, I don't see why I had these problems and you didn't have. And I was like, well, okay, let's look at your tool. Oh, okay, we look at your tool, we evaluate. All right, there we go. Next time, all right, bam. I have a better tool than I had the one before, or I have a different tool than I had before. All right, now I see where I can solve some things. So you got to understand that you might see someone do something, but if you don't understand why that they're doing something, you're just going to pick up that tool, approach that problem, and then you might find out that you have taken a small wrench into a situation where you need a big wrench. Or you might see that you have this Phillips head screwdriver and you might need a very tiny flathead screwdriver. Okay? So it's looking at tools. That's the first way we grow. Tools, and then tools allows us to address problems. Without tools, we can't address problems, because some people will want to say, "Oh, look, we just address problems as is," and without any means of addressing those problems, we can't do anything. Okay. The next level in which we grow is challenge. And this is where I think casual play and I think judge intervention is the best way for us to tackle this topic matter. Because if you have casual play, you are now able to sit down and play things in what I would call a non-threatening environment. If the guy that you're playing with is not talking smack and making fun of you on every little decision, and you're both there to grow, then it's a healthy environment for you to operate in, to experiment and to face some challenges. Okay, if your judge presents you with weird scenarios where you have to do whoever maintains the center of the map for 5 turns wins. Okay, then you are forced into a different level of problem solving due to your challenge. Challenges will elevate your ability to grow. If you succumb to those challenges, then you become crushed and then you don't grow. But as long as you're willing to press forward, not necessarily always being victorious, but surviving. Mentally surviving. You might be wounded, but you're like, I'm not dead yet. I'll get them next time. Then you're able to grow. The other thing that is interesting is when you are able to take those next steps and you say, man, that one guy in that in the venue, he's the best. My goal is before I know I can't beat him now because I don't have the right tools. I don't have the right figures. I don't have the right mindset yet. But my goal this game is to watch what he does, try to figure out why he does it, and I'm going to try to hurt that main thing that makes his team work. And you may win, you may lose. Okay? But in doing that, you're faced with a challenge. You're faced with a predator. And a lot of times people think it's bad to look at your opponent as a predator. It's only bad to look at your opponent as a predator if your only response is to run. Definitely when it's in heroclix. If your only response is to run, that's bad. Now, if you want to fight and you want to run and know when to fight and know when to run, that's good. That's healthy. If you only want to fight, you better have a team for that. But if your mindset is I'm only going to run, then you're not going to grow, because then the only thing that's going to happen is your opponent is going to adapt, and they're going to have elements to stop your running. Okay. So those are some things that, like, oh man, like I didn't really think about this. The next area of growth that I have found that has been quite essential for me is listen to commentary on other games. Yeah, listen to commentary on other games. I play StarCraft 2. I listen to Day 9. I play League of Legends. And I listen to Ponce, Ciderhelm, and some other guys. There's times where I take some of my experiences from Universal Fighting System, and I apply it to heroclix. There are times where I take my experiences from City of Heroes card game, and I apply it to heroclix. Okay, there are deck ideas from games I've seen, or there's concepts I've seen from other games, and I apply it to heroclix, and I see how they do. The whole idea of a shock trooper that I presented, multiple times throughout the history of the podcast, of a figure that's just there to be psychologically scary, but really doesn't do that much. I taken from a couple of different games I've played. You can read Sun Tzu. You can read I think it's Van Clausewitz on war. And I've read both to some extent. I'm not going to say I read everything, and no, I haven't. You can read chess books. You need to take in other things to have you equip different tools of problem solving to the game of heroclix. And what I really love about Alex is Alex came in and is introduced into the meta on the forefront the idea of a psychological game. Previously, it's all, team building, map placement, I go and do these things, and I tweak, min-max this other stuff, and that's it. Then it comes down to who places best and who rolls the best. But Alex said, I place well, I built my team well, but guess which one's the main focal point of my team? And on the first glance, everyone's going to say, oh, it's quite obvious that your primary attacker is Morgan Le Fay, your secondary attacker is Wasp, your support is Scarlet Witch. Oh, that's blatantly obvious when I look at it, and that's not how the team works. So when we take our steps back, we start to realize, like, wow, I can apply other elements that I have in my experiences to heroclix. So I'm not at a complete loss. I'm not at this situation in which I feel that everyone has 50 steps ahead of me. I'm not starting from zero. Okay, unless heroclix is your first and only game you play, you have not started from zero. If heroclix is the only unless heroclix is the only thing that you have really known in life, that you've invested your time and intellectual prowess in, then you have not started at zero. There might be some people at 1,000,000, but you have not started at zero. Okay, and so that's the big thing for you to keep in mind. And I would say the next element that we can always expand our growth on is when I grow, do I have benchmarks to see how I have grown? One of the things I like about my Saturday venue that I go to, even though it's shrunk, is that we go there, we play. It's quite brutal some days. Some days it's not, but on average it's quite brutal. We sit there and laugh, and no one really is super apologetic for what they play. But I recognized that days that I've gone 3-0 there have increased a little bit, but I also see the days that I've gone 2-1 go up as well. And when I look at the venue itself, the impact of the venue on me, and the impact of me on others, then I start to see like, oh wow, my game level of play at this point a year ago was slightly weaker here. Take those times to reflect and see growth. When I played George Massey over Google Hangouts, it was one of those times where it was absolutely fun and it was great, and I can't wait to play him again. But the thing I learned from there is, man, that one weakness that my friends said that I had, that I've been super overcompensating for in my team building, is there, and that weakness is placement. And if I fail to have good placement and calculate out my placement better and calculate my opponent's placement better, if I fail to do those things, I am doomed to be a B+ player. Okay, not getting into those A ranks, not even getting into that S superior rank. Okay, I'm doomed to be a B+ player. And I know a whole lot of people out there that would say, I would love to be a B+ player. But again, we are never arriving. We are never saying like, yep, this is where I put down my flag and I'm going to build the homestead here. Okay? We keep going. We keep pushing, we keep pushing, we keep pushing. All right? So I want you to take all that in. And I want you to start asking yourselves these questions. I want you to start asking yourself, am I hindering myself? Am I hurting myself? Am I not growing? Am I so caught up in playing 5 attackers that I really haven't looked at a tempo? Am I so caught up in playing 2 attackers that I really haven't looked at the validity of having 8 attackers on my team? And they're all just top click wonders. Okay? So expand, grow. Experiment, bring tools to various projects, and just see if they work. And experiment. Trial and error is not bad. You can create situations in which trial and error is good. Okay. All right. So that's mostly it. I'm going to try to get normal view on next week. Like I said, I was going to try to get George on, but I'm serious. I'm really going to try hard to get normal view on. I am also going to try hard to get Alex and George interview sometime about Clixathon. And I do encourage those people that are going to those major Clix tournaments, hit me up if you go and you want to give a tournament report or something like that. I'd love to have you on the show. And then you can brag to all your friends that you are on the interwebs and that you are digitally famous because I said so. All right. Hit me up at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, those cats that sent emails to me in the last few weeks, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. You can hit me up on Twitter at StartOverPod. That's at StartOverPod. You will definitely, if you subscribe to me on Twitter, you will definitely know as soon as a show goes up that it's up, because YouTube will send out the notification to Twitter. So Twitter is really the best way for you to know that there's a new show. Sometimes I put something weird on there. And really right now, you'll most likely hear my disdain for Teen Titans Set. But that's about it. Check out the blog. That's starting over podcast .blogspot.com. I did have I picked my own pick my own adventure game going on where people build my team. I ended up going with the email submission to do a Black Bolt team, and that Black Bolt team went undefeated. But I got like second place because I didn't score enough points. And I will give you that team now. It was 800 points, Modern Age. Black Bolt, 193 points. Nightmare, 110 points. Nightwing, 72 points. The one from the Batman set, not the Fast Forces. Brother Voodoo, 79 points. Bat Cycle in Piloted Mode, 50 points. Donald Blake, 33 points. Harvey Dent from Dark Knight Rises. Bruce Wayne, 50 points. And it's the Bruce Wayne from the Gravity feed of the Batman set. Cypher, 2 Cyphers, 76 points. Scarlet Witch, 75 points. Bat Signal, 2 points. Pretty much what happens is that you pick the Nexus of Reality map, try to slow them the heck down, TK back your Bat Signal to the farthest edge as you can on your back row of your starting area. And as the team approaches, you make sure that you have your TKers right adjacent to Harvey Dent. And you also make sure that Black Bolt is adjacent to Harvey Dent before he gets TK'd out. So once they're in position, the turn before your opponent's like prime, make sure you TK out Bruce Wayne so that he's good to go. So TK out Bruce Wayne a couple turn before. When they're in position, your ciphers should be activated. Perplex up Black Bolt's range and his attack by 1. Get Brother Voodoo outside of the blast radius. TK up Black Bolt once. TK him up again, and nuke the fire out of their team. And make sure that Nightmare is in position to do cleanup. And then when all said and done, the Bat Cycle will recall. The Bat Cycle will recall Black Bolt to the starting area. And because Black Bolt was adjacent to Harvey Dent, he will not take the pushing damage from the double power action. Then you put either Nightwing, Harvey Dent, or Bruce Wayne inside of the Bat Cycle, so then you have +1 attack, outwit, and you can run around and do havoc, and then TK out Black Bolt Bomb again if you want to. There you go. Real simple. Funny thing is, when I showed a couple of people in the venue my team, they're like, "That's something so complex that it's not good unless it's in your hands." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." But they figured it out so they could do it themselves. So, oh well. But again, layers upon layers, options upon options. So check out the blog. There's fun things there. Some blogs are long, some blogs are short, some blogs are crazy kooky fun. If you have a blog idea or a show idea, trust me, I am not going to be talking down to you and saying I know better. Trust me, there are tons of entertainment options out there on heroclix, and I appreciate that you chose mine. So if you want me to talk about anything specific, we will do a show made to order for you. Give shout outs to you and your homies in your venue, and to your favorite Clicks character. All right, that's it. Thank you for listening once again. We appreciate you listening. Or what I say, I appreciate you listening. And remember, We all have to start over sometime.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good, Vicky C's got a law. And she loves my flaws, yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a big nerd around her, but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws, she accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call. I will swing down the city.